Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
And something feels a little off right now, Jake. I can't quite place my finger on it. I feel like there's another presence on this call with us.
It's weird. I think somebody might be hacking into a pirate radio signal through the matrix of the something.
This isn't the Great British Bake Off talking show. What is this?
Oh, God. Mac is on this podcast?
Oh, God.
No. This is not Great British. I'm calling Paul Hollywood. This is not right.
This is me and Ryan's special time, Mac. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing here. What is this? We weren't scheduled to record anything today. Why didn't I know about this?
So this is the Natsu 2020 Banzuke prediction. Typically, it's Jake and I's nice private time that we get away from Mac and Flerick, but apparently Mac found his way into the recording studio. Well, not really recording studio since we're all in our private homes, but you know.
He's hacking into the matrix or whatever it was I said earlier.
Yes.
So this is when you record the episodes I never listen to that just randomly appear on our feed. I see how it is. Okay, I'm on to you guys now.
Yep, you got it.
But since you're here, might as well stick around, and you could be our third for the Banzuke prediction episode. There will not be a fourth, as sumo is over and Flerick has gone into hibernation for a couple of weeks.
Indeed,
He has returned to his cave.
Yes. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, at the top of the Banzuke. So at Yokozuna, we will have Hakuho on the east side and Kakuryu on the west side. Because Hakuho had the better record, he will have the more prestigious East ranking. At Ozeki, we have yet another shakeup for, I believe, the 8th basho in a row, where we will have a different set of Ozeki. On the east side, we will have Takakeisho, but he is alone no more, as on the west side, Asanoyama did indeed get promoted after his performance at the Haru basho, so he will be the West Ozeki. And as always, despite having the better record, Asanoyama will be the lowest ranked Ozeki, as newly promoted Ozeki are always the lowest rank.
Remind me, in this case, East is greater than West.
Yes, East is more prestigious than the West side. So technically, okay. Takakeisho, they're at the same rank of Ozeki, but Takakeisho is slightly higher ranked.
Yeah, we usually refer to that as like half a rank higher or something like that, just for the purposes of the Banzuke. But yeah, so this coming into the next basho here, Takakeisho will be Kadoban, meaning if he gets another losing record in the next tournament, we would have another basho in a row with the Ozeki getting shook up. And yeah, Ryan, I think you said 8 or so. That I don't know. I lost track because that's more than I can count on my fingers. So I'm not really sure how long this can go, but it sounds indefinitely.
I hope not.
Yeah, so it's been since Hatsu and Haru of 2019 where the Ozeki in one basho were the same the next basho. Just with how many demotions and promotions we've been seeing over the past year, it just has not been set. And it could be 9 if Takakeisho gets another losing record. Let's hope very much that is not the case. So if Asanoyama is leaving the Sekiwake rank, that means we're going to have a little bit of shuffling there as well. So Shodai, who had the 8-7 record from the Sekiwake West rank, he will move over to the east side, and joining him will be Mitakeyumi. So him having that 10-5 record, that's going to allow him to jump over guys like Daisho, Okinoumi, Yutakeyama, all had 8-7 records. But since Mitakeyumi had that better record, he's able to jump over them and nab that West Sekiwake slot that was opened up by Asanoyama's promotion. Moving on to Komusubi, we're going to have a couple of those guys that I just mentioned. Daisho had an 8-7 record from Maegashira 1 East, so he is the clear-cut winner for that east side Komusubi rank. And on the west side, I think we will have Okinoumi. That one is a little less clear for me. So that could go to Okinoumi. He had an 8-7 record at Maegashira 2. The other candidate that I was seriously playing around with is actually Takanosho, who had that 12-3 record from Maegashira 9. And I'm giving Okinoumi this spot because he was in the Joy, and as we've seen over the past year or so, they really seem to give preferential treatment to the Rikishi that had better record. Preferential treatment to the Rikishi inside the Joy that maybe didn't have as good of a record to the ones that were outside of the Joy and had better records.
That's an interesting jump.
Typically, our rule of thumb is based on their record, like their difference in wins and losses is how much they're going to jump up the Banzuke. So Okinoumi had an 8-7 record, so you would typically expect 1 to 2 rank jump for Okinoumi,
Makes
where Takanosho, he had a 12-3 record. So you're expecting somewhere like 8 to 9 rank jump for somebody like that. And so by the math, 9 rank jump for Takanosho would put him at Komusubi, and a 1 rank jump for Okinoumi would put him at Maegashira 1. So by the math, maybe Takanosho has the advantage, but I'm going with recent precedent to put Okinoumi in there.
In this case, you're not considering the East and West breakdown as their individual ranks. You're just considering as a whole M9, M8, M7, regardless of East or West.
Correct, yeah.
And that's just kind of a rule of thumb that well, I say we because I also am on these Banzuke episodes, but there's a rule of thumb that Ryan has noticed, and we kind of follow as like, it gives us a decent idea of where people will end up, but it's set in stone.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of examples in this Banzuke where that rule of thumb just doesn't work.
Right. And I did notice if we have Asanoyama moving up to Ozeki, that means that we have a full slot of Sanyaku. Does that mean that our poor sweet baby Maegashira 18 rank is gone now?
That is correct. We will cap it at Maegashira 17 West for this Banzuke. So Maegashira 18 got an appearance for the first time since 1959, but that was just a one-time thing, unfortunately, for Maegashira 18.
We hardly knew ye.
Out of here, redheaded stepchild. Be gone.
Yes. So let's move on to the Zone of Death. And at Maegashira 1, I have Endo dropping down from Komusubi West after his 7-8 record. And then on the west side of Maegashira 1, this is where I am placing Takanosho. So Endo with that day 15 Makekoshi, dropping him out of the Komusubi ranks again, but he's still going to be hovering around in that Komusubi, Maegashira 1, Maegashira 2 range that he's been for like the past 7 or 8 basho. Hokuto Fuji was riding that train for a while as well, but with his 4-11 record, he's going to be dropping a little bit further. At Maegashira 2, we're going to have Yutakayama on the east side, I believe, with his 8-7 record for Maegashira 3, jumping up 1 rank there. And then on the west side, I'm putting Onosho there, having a 9-6 record from Maegashira 5. So a 3-rank jump for him.
We think he's...
Go ahead, Mac.
No, I was about to say, do we think he's finally got his act together? I mean, a 9-6, he did pretty well. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit on the review. Do you think jumping up a little bit higher in ranks really going to light a fire under him at this point?
Hope so.
I think we'll save that conversation for episode that's coming out in the future. But based on his sumo this time, he was looking a little bit better than he has in the past.
Nice to see him back after that knee injury that kind of dropped him a while back.
Yeah, this is his first consecutive winning records at this high of a rank for a little while. So we will move on to Maegashira 3 on the east side. I believe we will have Takara Fuji jumping up from Maegashira 7 after a 9-6 record. And then I also think we will have Kiribayama jumping up from Maegashira 8 with a 9-6 record. So that's a potential 5-rank jump for Kiribayama there, if I am correct. So this is where the issue for this Banzuke begins. By record, no one deserves to be at that Maegashira 3 rank based on that math that we explained a little bit earlier. The people that had losing records ahead of this rank, like Hokuto Fuji, Takayasu, Tokushoryu, none of these guys can end up at Maegashira 3. They need to be kicked down the Banzuke much further. The people that had winning records below Maegashira 3 really don't deserve to be promoted this far. Takara Fuji, all right, moving up 4, that's acceptable for a 9-6, but Kiribayama would be like the next available guy. He's 5 ranks down with a 9-6 record, but there's really nobody else we can put there unless we want to pull like 11-4 Aoyama, 10 ranks for an 11-4 record. I think that's probably a bit too far for him. So this is going to create a portion of the Banzuke where people are going to be demoted less than they should, promoted more than they should, and we typically see this on a Banzuke. And a zone like that will last about 3 to 5 ranks until there's a surplus of guys that deserve to be a particular rank. Say like Maegashira 8. By the math, 5 people deserve to be Maegashira 8. Okay, then we could start plugging them in, filling up that void. But on this Banzuke, the shortage begins at Maegashira 3 and then just continues to get worse for 10 ranks until we reach a surplus of guys that finally deserve to be at the M13 rank.
Yeah, there's always a section like this somewhere, and this one, it looks like it's a particularly large section.
Yeah, so this is going to be a fairly lucky Banzuke. We see Banzukes where it's an unlucky one. This is going to be a very lucky Banzuke for people. Like I mentioned, we're already seeing it with Takara Fuji jumping 4 ranks with a 9-6 record, and Kiribayama jumping 5 ranks with that 9-6 record. So let's move on to Maegashira 4. On the east side, we're going to have Kagayaki jumping up 2 ranks after his 8-7 record. And then on the west side, one of our favorite things to see when we're in a void like this is a guy with a 7-8 record. And that is what Abi had at Maegashira 4 West. So I'm going to leave him there after his 7-8 record. And that's just to prevent further over-promoting Aoyama or under-promoting a guy like Hokuto Fuji.
That makes sense.
And so that will wrap up the Joy or the top 16 guys where we expect all those guys to face off. And so now we will move on to the mid-Banzuke section, and that's at Maegashira 5. That is where we will see the guys that I just mentioned. Aoyama on the east side, I believe, and Hokuto Fuji on the west side. So Aoyama jumping up 8 ranks after his 11-4 record. I actually found a little interesting tidbit for Maegashira 13s that have had an 11-4 record. They used to get promoted further for that record than they have been for the past 20 years. So between the years of 1942 to 2001, the average rank for a Maegashira 13 that had an 11-4 record in the next basho was a Maegashira 3 rank. So they averaged a jump of 10. But in the past 20 years, they've only averaged a jump up to Maegashira 5, which is just something I thought was really interesting, that for some reason in the past 20 years, they just haven't been promoted as far.
Yeah, and the average moving that far means it's definitely a trend. Like how many did you see? Are we talking like 3 or 4 guys or like a dozen or 2?
So it's like a total of 35-ish guys that have ever had an 11-4 record from Maegashira 13, and it was about 20 from 1942 to 2001 and like 12-ish from 2004 to 2018.
Sounds like enough to develop a pattern.
Yeah, and it when I looked, it was enough of a clear pattern that when I looked at the rankings on the Sumo Database website, that it was very obvious that these guys weren't just being ranked as high as they used to be.
Huh.
So just an interesting thing that I saw. I wonder if that holds true for other ranks and other records, if maybe promotions and demotions have calmed down over the past 20 years. That sounds like a lot more research than I'm willing to do right now. But then again, I have the time now.
That's true.
We all have the time now.
I have nothing else to do. So moving on to Maegashira 6 on the east side, this is where I'm going to put Enho, dropping 2 ranks after his 6-9 record. And on the west side, we're going to have Ryuden dropping only 1 rank after a 6-9 record, which is something that I'm not terribly fond of doing. We've had to do it on past Banzukes, and it's been correct, but dropping a 6-9 guy only 1 rank is something I try to avoid. But like I said, we have a void here that we just need to fill with Rikshi, and people are going to be getting lucky. Typically, this stuff is happening more towards the bottom of the Banzuke, and it's not as bad this early in the Banzuke. Moving on to Maegashira 7. On the east side, I've got Teritsu Yoshi, who will be jumping up 4 ranks after a 9-6 record. And I'm going to be dropping off Tokushoryu here, only dropping 5 ranks after his 4-11 record. Kind of the same drop that we had for Hokuto Fuji dropping out of Komosubi with that 4-11 record.
Conservative. I like that.
It's a little conservative.
The Hokuto Fuji one, I can chalk up to favoritism for sure, but dropping Tokushoryu only this far. Yeah. This is what you're talking about, where in general, this Banzuke is just kind of going to be lucky for a lot of people.
Yeah, so if we compare the promotions and demotions for people like versus guys that had like the inverse record that they did, so a guy with a 9-6, the inverse record would be 6-9. So like Teritsu Yoshi, he's going up. I predict that he's going up 4 ranks for a 9-6 record, whereas the Ryuden, I'm only predicting him going down for the inverse record when typically you'd expect them to be moving up or down about the same. And Tokushoryu, for his 4-11 record, I'm predicting he's only dropping down 5 spots, whereas Aoyama, for his inverse 11-4 record, I'm predicting him to jump up 8 spots. So there's definitely an imbalance in the promotions and demotions for this place. And so at Maegashira 8, we kind of see the void start to grow a little bit larger, as we have on the east side, I'm going to put Ishiura with an 8-7 record from Maegashira 11, so up 3 ranks for that 8-7 record. And Chiyotaryu, he is going to be up 3 ranks after an 8-7 record as well.
I got to call you out here. Ishiura got 9-6. Don't disrespect my
9-6 from 12. Yep. I'm sorry, that was correct. Ishiura
is
up
over at
4 ranks.
I was thinking Ikioi.
I gotta defend my fellow short boys.
Yeah. And so, like, the reason we're pulling these guys up so far is because the guys that had losing records, like, ahead of this rank, there's still really nowhere to put them, because we've already placed most of the guys that had a losing record. We're at Maegashira 8. So Miyugiryu at Maegashira 6 had a 4-11 record. We can't drop him only 2 spots, so we have to pull up a guy with an 8-7 record further. Takayasu, who is 0-15 from Maegashira 1, he's not going to drop only 8 spots after a no-show basho. We can't drop him off here, so we have to keep pulling guys up from the bottom of the Banzuke. And we've already pulled up the 2 biggest jumpers, like Takanosho with a 12-3. He's already up at Maegashira 1, and Aoyama at 11-4. He's already up at Maegashira 5. And so all we have left is a bunch of 8-7s and 9-6s. So we just have to keep pulling them up further to fill in this void. So as we go to Maegashira 9, on the east side, I've got Tamawashi, who has dropped 2 ranks after a 9-6 record, or who I think will be dropping 2 ranks after a 9-6 record. And then on the west side, we have Ikioi, who he is up 3 ranks from Maegashira 12 after an 8-7 record. And then we move on to Maegashira 10, where the void continues to grow larger, as on the east side, I am predicting Shima Naomi jumping up 6 ranks after a 9-6 record, and Kaisei on the west side jumping up 4 ranks after an 8-7 record from Maegashira 14. So, Mac, I think we kind of talked about this on the last prediction or review episode, Jake, but once you get past Maegashira 10, things just get weird.
I can definitely tell that. This void is really weird.
Like, so the Shima Naomi jump up 6 ranks for a 9-6 record, that would usually put some pause in me, but that's like typical for double-digit Maegashira. Like last basho, Tochiyozan, who was ranked Maegashira 9 this time, he was ranked Maegashira 15 or 16 last time, so he had a 7-rank jump after a 9-6 record. That's just how things end up at the bottom end of these Banzukes.
It's just a lot more jumbled, it appears. I mean, because you got a whole bunch of guys coming down, and in this case, with the actual basho, you had a lot of your lower guys not doing all that well. I mean, you had a few, you had a chunk in the M11, M12 area, but then after that, it gets really spotty, and then you have to look at the actual ranks themselves. You had a couple 7 and 8s, many more 6 and 9s, and then you had others that did even worse. So this I can see where this would be very difficult.
Yeah, this is always the hardest part of the Banzuke to predict, because then we're also getting to the portion where we have to figure out, okay, who's dropping down to Juryo, who's coming up from Juryo, and that's just a whole different set of problems that comes up, because who knows where those guys are going to end up. But let's move on to Maegashira 11, where on the east side I have Tochinoshin dropping 2 ranks from Maegashira 9 after a 6-9 record, and this is where we're going to have Miyogiryu end up with a 5 rank drop from Maegashira 6 after his 4-11 record. So all 4-11 record guys so far, we've given a 5 rank drop to. And then Maegashira 12, the last rank of our void before we mercifully get to Maegashira 13, and we have a surplus of guys that deserve to be ranked there. On the east side, we're going to have Sada no Umi dropping 2 ranks after a 6-9 record. A lot of 9 and 6s and 6 and 9s on this basho.
Yes.
I think probably a bit more than usual. I don't know. I'd have to do the math, but it just seems like there's a whole lot of them this time. And so the Maegashira 12 West spot I struggled with for a bit. I'm going to put Takayasu here, dropping from Maegashira 1. I struggled coming to this conclusion because it seems like it's kind of generous based on the past couple of Banzukes, where Tomokaze and Kotoyuki both got sent to Juryo for having an 0-15 record. They were from the Maegashira 3 rank, but that's only 2 ranks below Maegashira 1. So that could seem like I'm being very generous to Takayasu, and I very well could end up being very generous to Takayasu here. There were 2 other people besides Takayasu I was thinking of putting here. So one was Koto Nowaka, who had that 9 and 6 record from M18. Jump him up 6 ranks, the same that I did with Shima Naomi. And Koto Shoho, who was the Juryo Yusho winner, he had a 12 and 3 record from Juryo 6. So I do think Koto Shoho will be the highest ranked Juryo promotee, but I don't think that he's going to jump all the way up to Maegashira 12 coming from Juryo 6. If he was like ranked Juryo 1 or 2, I'd probably put him here. I say that knowing that the last Rikishi to be ranked at Juryo 6 and also get 12 wins and also win the Yusho was promoted to Maegashira 11 in 2016. So maybe I'm going against some better judgment here, but I'm still going to go with Takayasu.
This is interesting. I think this one more so than the others that we've seen will be really difficult because you also have that M18 in there. Like you said, the last time we saw this was back in the 50s. How is that affecting, where you're going to start placing people? In this case, I don't think we're going to see it again, like you were saying before, but this adds an extra layer. I'm just thinking about that. I'm like, you have another rank that you have to fit in there somehow.
Yeah, the way that extra rank works is there always has to be 42 guys in the top division. So
Okay.
when there's fewer guys in the Sanyaku ranks, like there was last Basho, then if there's fewer Sanyaku, you have to have more Maegashira. So now that we have one more guy, we move Asanoyama up to Ozeki, which means that we have to fill another Sekiwake slot, etc. So we still have the same number of guys. So we've talked about this in the past, like when we've had 4 Komosubi or ridiculous stuff like that. But the numbered rank is what we usually discuss, but you also kind of have to consider like the relative rank. So the guy who's Maegashira 17 West, the bottom guy in the Natsu Banzuke, is technically the same as Maegashira 18 East in the Haru Banzuke, because there's 41 guys ahead of him. Yeah, so like if he's the 42nd ranked guy, yeah, the number of his ranking may change a little bit. So Ryan, what is this one? Is this one where we're moving to a case where your number rank is a little bit better than it was last time, right? So yeah, we're moving to a case where like by a half a rank, people are different number-wise versus ranking-wise than they were last time. So I'm glad it's only one change, like one half rank, because in the past we've had it where it's moved like a full rank or a rank and a half or something.
Yeah, that one was the toughest one to figure out how they would determine, like, okay, like a guy, I just go back and listen to a couple of Banzuke episodes go. I've purged that from my mind. I don't want to think about that situation anymore. Yeah, and I was going to say something, and now I've completely forgot. So I think if we're done with that conversation, I'll just keep going with where I was, and hopefully my point will come back to me.
If it was meant to be, it will return.
Yes.
Exactly. So, like I said, there is precedent for Koto Shoho to end up at this rank where I'm putting Takayasu. But like I said, I don't feel it right now. And also could easily go Koto no Waka, but I'm not feeling that right now. And it's mostly because of the history of Maegashira 1s that have had an 0-15 record. They typically don't fall all the way to the bottom of the Banzuke. Since 1950, none have fallen further than Maegashira 14, and some have only dropped to like Maegashira 9. And Maegashira 12 is just like a nice average spot for him to drop. Plus, then I'm not over promoting Koto no Waka too much because I don't have to. A 12 rank drop for a Maegashira 1, that's still a very significant drop. He can be placed there without me needing to over promote the Juryo guy or the bottom of the Banzuke guy. So that's kind of why I landed with Takayasu in this spot here. But it's not too bad because we get to the bottom of Banzuke, things start to make a little bit more sense. So we have a surplus of guys that deserve to be at this rank. The unfortunate thing is a lot of them are coming from Juryo, so it's trying to figure out where the Juryo guys kind of end up. But Maegashira 13 East, that is where we're going to put Koto no Waka. And on the west side, we're going to drop Koto Shogiku just a half rank from the east side of Maegashira 13 to the west side of Maegashira 13. Maegashira 14, this is where I'm going to place Koto Shoho. And then also I believe we're going to have Wakataka Kage fall at this rank. He had a 10-5 record from Juryo 2, so he's definitely going to end up back in the Makuuchi ranks. Maegashira 15, we're going to have Shohozan on the east side, and I've got him dropping 7 ranks after his 4-11 record, so things finally worked out mathematically where I could drop him his full expected 7 ranks there. Then I'm going to have Koto Eiko on the west side, who had an 11-4 record from Juryo 5. Onto Maegashira 16 on the east side, I believe we are going to have the return of the Kaiju, Terano Fuji, after his 10-5 record from Juryo 3. He will complete his long comeback, 2-year comeback attempt back to the Makuuchi division. I think it's pretty much guaranteed he'll be back. It's just a matter of where he actually ends up. Maegashira 16 on the west side is where I'm going to have Chiyomaru dropping 1 rank after his 7-8 record. So the final rank, Maegashira 17 on the east side. Jake, I did all the calculations I could, dove into the research to see if there was recent precedent for it, but I couldn't justify Koto Yuki staying in Juryo after an 8-7 record from the top Juryo spot. I'm sorry.
You disappoint me, Ryan. I was hoping that you'd find a way to use your engineering degree to figure out a way to mathematically keep him out of my top division.
Numbers don't lie, Jake. Numbers don't
lie. And Koto Yuki, my mortal nemesis. Unfortunately, I have to watch him do more sumo now.
But Jake, I was able to put Nishikigi in your favorite spot for him, the last ranked guy in the Makuuchi division. And it was actually a very close battle between Nishikigi, Meisei, and Tobizaru from Juryo for that last spot in the Makuuchi division. I really don't have much of a reason to go with Nishikigi over these other 2 guys. So Nishikigi, he had a 6-9 record from Maegashira 14. Meisei had a 7-8 record from Maegashira 17. And Tobizaru had a 10-5 record from Juryo 4. And so just in my mind, it was least likely that Nishikigi drops 4 ranks at this spot with the 6-9 record than Meisei only drops like a half a rank with that 7-8 record. And I just think it's bad luck for Tobizaru that his 10-5 record is not going to get him into Makuuchi when he was at the Juryo 4 rank. So this is a point where we have too many people that deserve to be at this spot, and some people are going to get unlucky. So I think Tobizaru is that guy just because he was in Juryo, and I think they're going to give preferential treatment to the guys who face the tougher competition up in Makuuchi.
Yeah, I think it's just destiny. You're just deferring to fate itself as the most powerful force in the universe, putting Nishikigi as the last ranked guy in the top division.
Exactly.
It is the way.
It is the way.
It is the way indeed. So that is our predicted Banzuke for the Natsu 2020 Basho. If it should occur, I think most likely it's probably going to be another Ghost Basho with no fans. Since they were able to pull that off before, I think they'll just try to do that again. I don't think they'll cancel it, but I don't think there will be fans there.
Do you want to review the guys that are dropping out of the top division real quick?
I was getting there. I just wanted to
okay.
point out, like, if Natsu happens, this could end up being our Nagoya Basho, but I don't think that'll happen. So yeah, we did lose 5 guys from the top. I predict 5 guys will drop from the Banzuke this time, and that is going to be Tochiozan, who had a 3-12 record from Maegashira 10, Tsurugisho, who had a 1-14 record from Maegashira 15, Azumaryu, who had a 5-10 record from Maegashira 16, Dayamami, who had a 5-10 record from Maegashira 17, and Meisei, who had that 7-8 record from Maegashira 17. So I think Tsurugisho, Azumaryu, Dayamami, deadlocks. There's no way in hell they're going to be in Makuuchi. Tochiozan and Meisei are a little bit more border cases. I feel more comfortable with Tochiozan dropping than Meisei, but I feel pretty good about the guys that I have going down.
One thing that we usually talk about on these is which is the borderline trade. So, like, which of these guys dropping down do you think is least likely to drop down? And vice versa, which one of the guys coming up from the lower division is least likely to make it?
I think Meisei would be the least likely to drop down, but I think it's guaranteed you have 5 guys coming up. Kotoyuki, with a winning record from the top Juryo spot, you have to promote him. You just have to.
I really wanted that to be the one, though.
10-5 record for Wakataka Kage at Juryo 2. You've got to promote him. 10-5 record for Terano Fuji at Juryo 3. Got to promote him. 11-4 for Koto Ueko at Juryo 5. That's going to take precedent over the 10-5 from Juryo 4 for Tobizaru. So you promote him. And Koto Shoho, 12-3 from Juryo 6. Once again, that's going to take precedent over the 10-5 for Tobizaru at Juryo 4. You promote him. So I don't think there's any way that there's less than 5. I think the borderline case is Tobizaru versus Nishikigi. And if there's like 6.
Fair enough. Okay.
So how I feel about this Banzuke is I think this one will probably be worse than my previous one, just because there are, like, the last one, it really just felt like a puzzle where all the pieces fit, especially the middle of the Banzuke. Which proved to be correct because I got 17 in a row at one point. This one doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's a lot more close calls between guys like, well, is Ryuden only going to drop 1 rank with his 9-6 or 6-9 record, or are they going to promote Tetsuyoshi up 5 ranks with his 9-6 record, like I think they will Kiribayama? There's just so many of those cases where I just don't think it's going to end up being as good as my previous one.
Hold on. You said you got 17 in a row on your last one?
Yeah, I had 27 perfect predictions on my previous Banzuke with one stretch where I got 17 exactly correct.
He's pretty good at this.
Damn, you are good at this. Okay, that's it. This can't stand. Ryan, you cannot be good at something. We need to fix this. I am throwing my hat in the ring.
Well, this Basho here, this Banzuke, this may change that. So,
So Mac, you said you're throwing your hat in the ring. Are you going to try to predict some Banzukes as well?
I indeed shall. Now that I have more time on my hands, like, oh, all right, this looks like fun. I will at least try and get better at this. I do better.
It doesn't look like fun. It is not. If I made it look like fun, that is just due to my incredible talent as a showman. And in no way reflective of the actual process that it takes to create a Banzuke prediction.
Could just be me and my data analysis skills. I like looking at records and numbers and predictions. I'm like, ooh, this looks like more math for me to dive into. I like math and probability.
Maybe come up with your own, Mac, here, and then we can score you versus Ryan when we do our Banzuke recap episode after they release it.
I like this.
And I will absolutely crush you. Of that, I have no doubt.
Oh, no, I have no doubt either.
Unless you just copy my Banzuke.
What? No, shut up. You don't know what I was going to do. Get out of my head.
It's so weird, Ryan. It's just, I looked at the Banzuke and I'm like, yeah, what you have makes sense. I think exactly what you had is what I independently predicted on my own. It's so weird.
No, not at all. No, don't pay attention to this.
And so before we wrap up this episode, Mac, we typically have Jake predict what my worst prediction will be. So what Jake thinks my worst prediction is. So you can go ahead and join him and take a stab at which will be my worst prediction, and it's numerically. So who I will be off by the most ranks.
I'm going to go with, I'm not sure Asanoyama did enough to make it to Ozeki.
Even though it's already been announced and they've done the whole thing.
Rumors, what have you, that you listen to your sources, I'll listen to mine.
Jake, I will actually take that, because if you think that's my worst prediction, that would be only a half rank off, which means you think that I got the rest exactly perfect.
Maybe I'll change my mind from Asanoyama, but I'm doing it because I want to, not because you told me.
Got it.
I think that one that stuck out to me was Kiribayama going up 5 ranks from his 9 and 6. It made sense the way that you explained it, but that one just doesn't sit right with me. Granted,
I think there is no other option except Kiribayama there.
Yeah, it's weird, but I'll go with that one. I think that a lot of these, the way that this basho is going to shake out is you're probably going to be really, really, really close on all of these, but I bet they're all going to be just jumbled up a tiny bit. Yeah,
I think so. I will point out, you almost went with Kiribayama last time as well, because I had him jumping up from Maegashira 17 to the Maegashira 8 rank after his 11-4 record. You didn't think that was going to happen. Turned out that was exactly correct. So,
well, you see, that was the previous time, which means it is completely gone from my brain.
What about you, Mac? What do you think my worst prediction is?
Honestly, I think your boy is probably the worst prediction. I don't think he's going to drop that far. I think he's going to be M3.
Hokuto Fuji?
M3?
I think Hokuto Fuji will be M3. I could
see that. I could actually see them dropping Hokuto Fuji only to M3, so they don't have to promote Kiribayama as far. I could see that.
That's why. The only reason why is because I don't think they should jump up Kiribayama that far with a 9 and 6. Hokuto Fuji still got a win over Yokozuna, which was huge. I think that's going to affect how far he's going to drop.
I don't think it will. I don't think they take really into consideration who you beat. I think they just look at the math for the most part. But yeah, that's more that I could see that. My personal one I would say is Takayasu. I think a guy with no wins is just such a crapshoot for where they're going to end up if they're at the top part of the Banzuke. That's so hard.
Those extreme records are always hard because you know it's going to be a big jump, so it's harder to figure out where they land.
Yeah. So we will find out all the answers in about a month's time when the Banzuke is released. But until then, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc.
YouTube.
Or check out our blog and YouTube, yep. And check out our blog, GrandSumoBreakdown.com.
Can I do it? Can I do it?
You're here. You can do it.
Oh, sweet. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
All right, and as we said, we will follow up on this episode in about a month's time when they release the Natsu Banzuke.
I like this. I like that I crashed this. I have something fun to do now.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where you end up, like our comparison on that.
Well, I have no doubt it is going to be crap. I know my first one's going to be crap, but I will learn.
I I truly hope so, because if you're better than me, I will legitimately be upset.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
and keep moving forward.